Okay, the storms have dissipated at least for a couple hours until about 5. So here are my 2 nightstands. I thought these were going to be exactly the same, and they aren't. Notice the construction in the bottom of this one has pieces of wood here and here. Back here there's nothing. On this one, these are plastic, no support. And I need to figure out what I'm going to do to support these legs. So my plan is for both of these to cut off enough pieces, and I've measured from this scrap wood of oak, to put in a support board here that I will Kreg jig into this side so it will support it. Now I'll do that here, and then I'll do the other sides too. So that's going to be my next step. Now I build my bases out of pine 1x3s for the frame, and the legs are made of 2x2 pine. Now I know you're going to say, oh well, it needs to be oak. That's not true. If you Kreg jig your joints together, they're very strong. Think about this. House framing is done with pine. They don't use oak to frame a house, they use pine. So don't ever let anyone tell you that the only way you can build a base for furniture is only with oak. That's not true, and it's very hard to find. So what I will do is determine what are the length of my legs going to be based on my desired height. That's what I'm going to do. Now I have my support boards screwed into by using my Kreg jig tool and glue into the bottom of these bases. Now every single dresser and nightstand is different, so you're going to have to learn to judge where you need to add extra strength so it will support your legs. But this is what I have done to add extra support for these nightstands. Now, once again, this piece, this 1x3 is going to be my trim, and the 2x2 is going to be my leg. Now I've cut my first leg, and this piece is 6 inches long. Now it will sit one side of your side piece here and one over there. So this much is not going to show. That's why I have all of this to work with to angle my legs or to be able to show the legs once I'm finished. So I have cut my first 6-inch leg using my miter saw. Now instead of doing 6 different measurements and cutting them, I cut one. Now I will take this and draw a line and cut my other legs to match this same length. Now if you're going to do your angle legs, I suggest you don't cut them until you get ready to do your angles on them first. Let me give you an example. I measured on here how big my leg needs to be when I take into consideration how wide this board is. So I made a mark where the top of the side piece goes to the bottom. Now, what I'm going to need to do then is determine from there how I want to angle those legs, which will start about right in here. So you're going to want to draw with a pen a line that goes from this corner down to the edge. Now you don't want to go all the way to the end because you won't have enough support, but you do want to allow maybe at least a ½ an inch or so for support. See how I have that angled? Let me show you in a second. Now here's the angle that my legs will be at the bottom. So it will run, this part will be cut off from here to here. And the reason I stopped it here is because this will be where my side pieces will go, is up there. So I want the angle of the leg to show, but I don't want it to start until after it's past these side rails like this. So this is where I'm going to do my angles. Now I suggest if you're going to do the angles, use a big board because you're going to need extra support. You don't want to do it with a short piece and cut your fingers off. Now some people will cut their angles using their miter saw and trying to do this, and DIY Wife is doing it this way too. I don't have mine turned on. I don't suggest you try doing this unless you're highly skilled and you're very sure of yourself, because one wrong move and this board can come back and hit you or cause a lot of damage to you and your saw. So I have tried to do it this way, and it's very unsafe. I have tried to build a fence to try to do it, but the fence hasn't held up well. I'm still investigating that. But until then, I use a clamp and I use my small work saw to go across, because I don't feel safe using the miter saw and having nothing for this to hold on to. Now here is my first angle that I built. I have a little bit of cleanup to do on the edge here, but otherwise it's just how I wanted it. This is the saw that I used, was this one. It's very easy to use, it's easy to guide, it's easy to see where you need to go. Now here's my leg again. Now let me show you. This will be my trim piece, this 1x3. So when I put these on, they're going to be Craig jigged in so that they're like this. See that? So that the leg angle starts right at the bottom of that trim. And so now that I've got that angle cut, then I will take this board back over to my miter saw, and then I'll cut my 6-inch angle leg here. So before I cut this for the other legs, I'll go on the other side and I'll do the same thing here where I draw the 6 inches. Alright, I have my legs all cut, my angled legs, my back legs. I have my front board cut and my side pieces cut. And I've kind of laid them in place here to make sure they fit. Now I need to clean up a little bit and maybe straighten up a few of the butt bases, because as we all know, the bottoms of these things are never completely level. So I'm going to clean that up, and then I'll show you how to use your Craig jig, how to measure, and how to use these attachments, and show you how to cut properly. Now I'm getting ready to put Craig jig holes in my frame. You won't put holes in your legs, but you put them in the frame, and what you really need is a Craig jig machine. Mine is about $150, and I have mine mounted to a board so I can carry it anywhere and utilize it whenever I want. You're going to need some Craig jig screws, and I would go with the ones that are fine thread for use with hardwoods, because it's less likely to splinter your work. You're also going to need these tools. They come with your Craig jig, and you're going to need a drill, okay? So I'll show you what to do here next, in the next reel. Alright, I got my legs all done now. They're all cut for both pieces. I just kind of laid them up here right now so I can show you how they're going to be placed. So where did I put that other leg at? There's one missing over there. I've got it laying down somewhere. Anyway, so I figured out where I'm going to put them on here, how I want them placed. And I want each leg to sit right where I have support, in the front and the side, both places. And that's why I wanted to be sure I had enough support back here in the back to hold that. So there in the back and in there. Now I'm going to measure my front piece by measuring the distance between this edge and then these two sides. That's going to be my sides. Nothing for the back, don't need it. Now I'm going to show you what you need to do next in order to get your holes drilled. Using your Craig jig tool, you need to get your Craig jig drill bit. Now this little drill bit has a collar on it. You see this collar? Well, it loosens up with this device, and you need this device too because you need to measure the thickness of the board that you're going to be drilling your Craig jig holes into. This gives you a consistent cut so that you don't go through the wood and you can put your screws in. Now I've got this on here to measure. You measure from the T-point to here, and I need to set my collar for 3/4. So what you need to do is loosen up this collar with the pin on your little T thing that I showed you, and set it to 3/4. And I already have that there here. Do you see that? Now you're going to be doing 2 different sets of drill holes for your Kreg screws. The first set you're going to want to put in 2 holes on each end of your piece of wood. This is where your legs are going to join. Generally with these 1x3s, I will put a hole here and one here. I don't need 3, that's almost too many. So I'm going to take my drill bit, my Kreg jig drill bit that's set to 3/4 tool that we use that I showed you earlier, and I'm going to put it in here, okay? And then I'm going to drill all the way down. Now put your drill in reverse and pull up, okay? You're going to do that 2 times on each end of your boards, and make sure you're doing it on the same side of the board. Don't make a mistake and do it on the other. All right, I've got 1 set of screws holes drilled for one of the nightstands. I haven't done the other one yet. Now that I have these drilled, I'm going to do another step first, but I've got these drilled and they will be fastened into these legs. See? Right here and up here too. And then another leg will go there and then the other side. Remember, there are not 4 sides needed for this, just 3, okay? Now I'm going to do another set of Kreg jig holes that are going to be along here. And these are used to mount that to the underside of the nightstand. Now I might do maybe a set of 3 here for the long board and 1 or 2 for the short ones. I have all of my Kreg jig holes ready. Now, the best way that I find to assemble these and make sure you do them right is to assemble them with your piece upside down and all of your pieces laid out. Now I have two different sets of Kreg jig holes. I have Kreg jig holes that will screw into each of these legs on both sides. I also have a set of Kreg jig holes that screws into the base. See here? These, and these. Now I made sure that my boards are all facing the right direction and the holes are on the inside, not the outside. And I want to be sure that the ones that go into the base, you can see the hole going down into the base. So what you'll want to do from here is screw your legs together first and then screw the rest of it into the base and then glue it in. Okay, one other quick note before I get started on this next step. You'll want to use your Kreg jig screw drill bit. I usually use the longer one so I can really get into those holes and push that screw in there. And you want to use either 1 1/4 inch or 1 1/2 inch Kreg jig screws that are made for hardwood, and go at it nice and slow. Don't try to go too fast, too hard, because you might split the wood. Okay, here is one of my nightstand bases. I have all of my legs screwed in. See that? All screwed in. Now I made sure all of these holes that are going into the frame are facing down and they're all on the inside, making sure that my legs that are the curved legs or the angled legs are facing the right direction, because that's another problem I can make. Making sure my lines are straight. Now what I'm going to do is put a bead of glue around this edge up here, and then I'm going to apply it to the bottom of this. Okay, then I'm going to take my Kreg jig screws, and I'm using a 1 1/4 inch, by the way, and I'm going to screw these down into the base. So first glue, then screw in with Kreg jigs. And there's my new base. Now, I still need to finish it, and I've got to do a couple other things to it. But there it is. And once I get it finished and I have the trim taken care of it on it, I think it's going to look really nice, and it really adds character and height to this, makes it more modern. So my little nightstands are going to be ready for stain tomorrow. I did a wash on them to even out all of the different wood tones in it. I got my bases all done. They just need a stain on it. I think I'll put maybe Provincial or something like that, a water-based stain over it, to kind of tone it down a little bit more. But anyway, yeah, I got most of this done today, and if anybody has questions on how to build the bases, do let me know. Keep practicing on it. You know, don't expect perfection the first time, but you'll be able to get it right if you keep going on it. But let me know if you have questions.